get this term. It's the tuition you paid for your business education.
You know,
You know, you got your MD for
I'm going to use that too. So, I pitch on Friday. I'm going to use it. It is the tuition that you paid for your business education. And why would you not invest in your own tuition and education? Man, baby, you just gave me my pitch debut.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hi, I'm Michele.
I'm Karamel.
Welcome in to CEO Chronicles. And listen. I've learned some lessons. Lessons. Yes. Listen, Linda. You remember that video?
No, that's it. Linda, honey, listen. Linda,
Linda.
you're not listening. You're not listening. It was
That
very
little
funny.
boy. I think that was the first viral video that I really paid attention to. I wonder where that little boy is now,
No telling. I bet you he's a YouTube star.
Probably not. He probably somewhere hating that. I can't believe that haunts me. I would get mental health. I need to take a break or something.
Ooh, Michele, I don't know if we're supposed to make fun of people's mental health.
No, I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying that a lot of times what we think is good or it turns out to be a burden for people in your
It
life.
can be. Well, that's the topic today about it being a burden, right? When you have this great idea and you want to think about spending the money and should you spend the money on every idea and what is every idea worth? Like, bought sense is the best sense. You ever heard that term?
Absolutely. I'm from the South. We invented that. Some bought sense is the best sense.
Of course, you invented it. I forgot.
I'm from the South,
Right. All y'all from the South.
I keep saying that because she hates when I say
it's not that I hate it. It's just that I hear it more from people in the South, and I just don't understand why you
from the South.
Right.
Who else would say that?
I would say that I have said that and have said it all my life. And so it's beyond me that you would say that because I'm from the South, that's a Southern term.
Okay. A lot of people that are of color were in the South and migrated up north. So that's why y'all say it up there. Anyway, that's not the topic that we're going to get on. We are talking about how sometimes you have to spend the money in order to see if an idea really works. Because, and you're really good about that. You call them your beta tests where you will try out a product or something, a new idea, and then you will try it out. And then you'll come back and you go, you know what, girl, that didn't work. And I'm like, how did you tell so fast?
Well, that's because failing fast is my only option. The idea that you would wait for it to be perfect, when I tell this to people all the time, perfection paralysis can get you in a bog where you'll never test it and know that it's actually a viable option.
Now, I used to suffer from that when I felt like I had to work it all the way through. I had to have every angle, every detail, everything done. And I had a young lady that worked with me before, and, she'd go on 80%.
That's correct.
It would be 80% right. And then she's like, boom, she'll do it. And I would marvel at that and I realized I was a perfectionist, but I realize now what my level of what I would do something on is a lot of times more than most people will do. So my 80% is good enough. You know what I'm saying?
The other part of that is, and I remember us having that conversation about that young lady, and she would throw a little T-shirt up there and throw a little piece of cloth on top of a table and be out there in the place, and you're like, and that just looked thrown together, but she out there.
It wouldn't look like thrown together. It just wouldn't look as finished or polished. Like it would be a tablecloth without our name.
In your vision, your eyes saw not together. That's what I'm saying. It's not that it wasn't. Anybody else who walked up wanted them free chips and that free T-shirt. They didn't care nothing about it, but your eyes were drawn to, right? And so the other part of that 80% and 20% is, I believe very strongly that if you fail fast, you win faster, because you can go ahead and put that idea out of your mind once you've already put it out there and implement it. And it shows you very quickly that this isn't the right thing. Last week, just as a matter of fact, I had this great idea about the one ad, one funnel challenge. And I'm going to put it together and it's going to be amazing. And I spent money on it and had people come in there and baby, they were crab apples. They had no idea what I was talking about. And it ended up being the wrong audience fit. And I just decided, okay, well, that was nice. I think I spent about $700. No, I only
But
spent
you
200.
didn't waste money, you
Mm-mm,
bought clarity.
I
That's what you did.
did.
You
I
bought some
did.
clarity that, okay, for a small amount, you are able to see now you know, okay, if I do this, these are the adjustments that I need to make. This is what I need.
Or I may not want to make the adjustment because it wasn't worth, right? So what happened last week for me was I spent the $200 to get the people in the room to have the conversation and realize I don't want to have this conversation. I
Knowing what
don't,
doesn't work is just as valuable as knowing what works, you
that's
know?
correct.
So that's
That's
huge.
correct.
That's a key that a lot of times when you got a product, if you're in a restaurant, you want to try a new dish, or you want to do this, you want to open at a certain time. Certain days you don't have to be open. You notice traffic. You're like, okay, I want to start doing this to see if it's going to generate some more traffic. You have to try it. Spend a little money. Eliminate the what if. That's
Well, and I think for most people, we're thinking about the money as an issue. Sometimes it's not about the money. Sometimes it's more about the bandwidth. Do you have enough know-how, ingenuity? Can you see it? I know I was watching a clip with Michelle. I don't remember even her last name from Destiny's Child. What was her last name? Michelle.
Williams.
Okay, so I didn't even. I just know Michelle from Destiny's Child.
I think that's it. The reason why I know that that's my maiden name.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
actually Michelle Williams. I,
Okay.
that's
Who knew? I didn't even realize that. Here's the deal. Really? Your last name is Williams? That is crazy. We've been best friends for all these years, 20 years, and I didn't know that.
story. I got several names. We'll share them one day.
But here's the deal. She was on there and she said Beyonce would say if she could see it in her dream, if she could visualize it, she knew it could happen. And there
Yeah.
was no one who would be able to convince her otherwise because she saw it in her mind, in her vision. So there was tunnel vision there. And I have to see. And once you get to a space where you can recognize and see the vision, I can walk into a room and see if even if it's under construction and see the walls up with the pictures on it. That's a vision that not a lot of folks don't have the ability to do.
I can do that, and I give you a perfect example of that. I remember 4 years ago when we started Growth Conference, and somebody called me and they were like, "Hey, we should do a conference," and I was like, "Okay, cool." And it was like, "Should we do it in Atlanta or Dallas?" They said, "Put it in the group and ask the group." You know, and it never occurred to me to do it in the city that I live in. In my mind, I was like, "Okay, Dallas or Atlanta," and so we picked Dallas, and then I was like, "Okay, boom." We went about planning the conference in Dallas. And it was like I flew to Dallas, I looked around, saw where we wanted to do it. I met with somebody that was there that helped me put it together, and boom, we had a conference. Never in my mind did I think that that was something special or different or anything until I'm talking to you and you go, "Girl."
Well, I think again, visionary mindset is what that would look like when you're able to spend a little money on something because you believe in it so clearly and vividly. And I've always told you, visionary mindset will absolutely take you to a place where you're like, this is just regular day's work. For most people, that regular day's work would be something that they had to deal with over months and months of preparation and time.
But
And
sometimes you have to test it out, that vision, those things in the real world to just see if it fits your business model for real. Like, like I have, because when I was younger, I really moved by my visions in my head. And I thought, just because I thought of it, it had to happen. Well, then I realized just because I can see it in my head doesn't always mean you got to bring it into the real world. And it's like, is this worth the squeeze?
And that is a perfect example of how you recognize that and fail fast. And failing meaning you put it all the way out there as ugly as it looks. My Megan, my ops, she is always like, "What are you thinking about now?" She said,
Ops means something different now to the young
"No,
folk.
does it?
Yeah. Ops mean like the cops or the snitch or the something like that.
Oh, my
It's
ops manager."
operation. Yeah, operations manager.
My operations manager, Megan, was saying to me the other day, I hate when you get into this thing, you get into this spazzy. And I said, no, baby, this is not spazzy. This is scrappy. And what she meant by that is I will throw ideas out there like nobody's business, because ultimately, what am I trying to get after, Michelle? I need to get after these funds. I need to get after these offers that my customers want, so I can go ahead and keep them happy, and I can keep my bank account happy so I can pay these bills.
Because, I'm looking for the 5 revenue streams, and so I think we're up to 3, and so y'all, if you've been with the show anytime, you know that I always talk about I want 5, okay? So I got 2 more that I'm in pursuit of, and I know what I want them to be, I see them, but, always getting to them is hard. Now, somebody said I should hire a consultant who can help you realize you're good at that, finding somebody that can help you with
Well,
your vision.
I just take a lot of free meetings, and so people don't understand that free meetings.
You'll pay sometimes too, like you just came out of a mastermind that you paid for to kinda help you get after some things.
I did. Here's what I'll tell you. A consultant can be good, a financial person can be good, but ultimately you still have to do your research. And I think there are some people out there who believe that consultants are the what for, and I'm very cautious about investing in something that will not give me the fruit that I need. When I paid for that mastermind, I paid for the access behind the scenes, understanding it was an absorbent amount of money that I spent on it, but ultimately I'd be in the room with other women who were at a level that I was, and some beyond me, and that was valuable in that moment because I wanted to see behind the scenes what that looked like. If I had not done that, I cannot tell you how far I would have been now, and my mind being expanded to different ideas at another level.
And the
There's always
possibilities, because
sure.
sometimes you can see it, but then being in the room with people that are doing it, I give you an example, sometimes when we talk about money and the amounts that we talk about, we can be very cavalier when we talk about them.
We are.
And so then I was talking to a friend of mine who's a serial entrepreneur, and she was talking about buying her building, and, she was just like, I don't and I don't" I said, "Well, how much is it?" And she was like, "Uh, it's like 650,000." I said, "Well, girl, that ain't no money." I said, "Go head on." And she said, "Oh, I needed that." She said, "'Cause ain't
Not
nobody said
many
that to
people
me
want
like
to.
that."
People don't want to talk about the money. You know what's so funny about that is that when I'm having those conversations, I think it's because it doesn't look like I'm making that kind of money because I'm still regular. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think what it is that touching that type of money and in it, because I don't have it. It ain't sitting in my bank. I wanna be clear. I don't wanna mislead nobody.
Well, I
But it
think
has
that revenues is different than profits, is what we already
but
talked about.
but what I'm saying is it has flowed through my account, so I've touched it. I've seen how to operate with it. So I tell people, you have to think about, but a $650,000 building in the part of town that it is of steel.
Mhm.
It's touching downtown. It's right there. It's a really nice building. And
What
so the owner
I recommend people who, when they're thinking about doing anything in the commercial spaces, to make sure they want it for the long term. Buildings don't sell overnight. It takes years to get a building sold. Even after a remodel, when those type of, I'm imagining if she was to do the research and find out how long that building had been on sale, it probably had been on sale a long time. Well, there are reasons for that. So always investigate that, because that commercial space is, it's a different world. But again, I failed fast. I bought the building and got it for a steal. And here I am owning it now, thinking, gosh, it was not the best move for me. We are not commercial real estate people. Heck, me and McCoy, we probably aren't real estate people at all for real. But I would not have known that had I not bought the houses, had I not bought the
So
building.
this is what boss sense helps you do.
It does.
Make faster, more confident decisions in the future. So
Yes.
now you know when it's time to invest and do something, one stream of revenue for you is not real estate at this time. Because
Well, I can't say that because I'm still owning the stuff and I
what I'm
ain't been
saying
able
is
to
that
sell it.
you're trying to get out of it, but in the future, you'll know when you're making decisions that that's not something that you want to do. You have other ways of doing it.
It would require, so now I know the requirements for me to be comfortable in this space. I would not have known that had I not already owned the things, right?
Trust your
So,
instincts because
yes.
they're backed by experience now. That's something that's huge. I realize sometimes when I'm talking to people, I was in the office the other day and someone comes up, my husband, he is the operations manager
Mhm.
and he handles like the service part of the job and I handle the sales part of our business. And so he was out of the office and somebody came back to me and they were like, um, oh, I got a question, but Garner's not here. And it's a good, I said, hey, what, I try to remind them, I'm still the agent. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
when
Mhm.
all of it is said and done, I'm responsible for everything.
Mhm.
So I walk up front. I've never done what they asked me to do, but I looked at the screen. One thing I found, I can read. And if I can read it, I understand it and I can do it. So I looked at it, I solved the problem. I said, Garner, what? I said, I'm the one. I still got it. You know what I mean? Because I
It's
make
more
it a
than a
point.
job. Mhm.
Well, I make it a point to trust my instincts. I've done this several times. I've seen it. I've done it. I've been in business as an insurance agent and agency owner for almost 8 years now.
Mhm.
It's not a lot of stuff I hadn't seen. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? In the scenarios of what can come up and what can happen. And so I know how to deal with it and I don't get flustered anymore. So that's because I trust my instincts and that's because I'm backed by experience now. I know vault sense is the best sense and I know it ain't gonna be that bad or I used to worry about customers when customers make
Mhm.
mistakes that I should take it and say agency error and try to no, that wasn't an agency error. And it's a way to say it without upsetting them. You know what I mean? Like, hey, okay, what I'm going to try to do is assist you, but this wasn't our
This was
fault.
not that's correct. That's
I'm gonna try
correct.
to help you.
You know, that is a tenet of mine in any business that I run. We do not apologize for mistakes or anything that is outside of our control. If we did not do it, and I don't care in what capacity, if the taxi is late and I got a group of ladies sitting on the side of the road, guess what? The taxi was late. I'm not going to say I'm sorry because I did not. I called the taxi. I did not run the taxi. I did not. I don't drive it. And people really don't. When I say it to them, they're like, wow,
Well, because what happens is if I say I'm sorry, the taxi is late. Now you transfer the taxi being late to me.
that's
So
right.
now I'm having to fix all these problems that I didn't start. So you start looking at me as I'm the one that
But
keeps
the
messing
other
up.
part is if you allow your to apologize for things that are out of your control, what happens when it's something that is in your control? Now you're having to apologize again.
And
So
so you just
that apology means nothing anymore.
right, you're just apologize. So, and now I do hold apologies. I will apologize,
Mhm.
but when I do apologize, it means something. It is
Mhm.
impactful.
Mhm.
It resonates. And so that comes from bought sense. And that's what we're talking about. Share a real story that, when you go back into this and you realize, hey, I've done this. Some stuff has been successful. Some stuff is now you call it failing. I That word I don't put it in my vocabulary, and a lot of people fail up, fail fast, that kind of thing. I
Mhm.
don't like to say the word fail.
Okay.
I have a personal thing about it, and people like, well, hurry, but I don't fail.
Well, you might call it a learning curve. There's several ways you can say
Okay,
it.
what I'm saying is in my psyche, I really don't use the word fail because there's nothing I ever done that I failed at because what happened? I got some bought sense from it. I
Right.
got some experience from it. I'm serious. I've been fired. I've had all kinds of experiences to happen to me, but I realized as I look back on them, they weren't failures. They built me to be who I am today.
Well,
Without that experience, I wouldn't be who I am today.
to ramp up a new idea, especially when it's one in your head, which is what the point of my operations manager, when she's saying, what I'm ramping up in my head, if I can't articulate the vision to you in that moment while you're doing all the work that I need you to do to keep us afloat, this other little creative idea is something that I can do on the side and see if it flips. And then if it does flip, now I'll bring you in to give you some information
Because I
about
feel like
how it works.
most ideas can work if you have the right backing, financing, and so forth, and the right people to execute it. So just because it didn't work for me does not mean. And I was looking at, I'm in all these different groups for agents, and there's like women's groups, there's positive agent group, there's just all kind of groups. And
Mhm.
so in one of the groups, they were talking about how they wanted to get together and have accountability partners. And then they were talking about, but they wanted the accountability partner to be someone that was bigger, better. Like, say, if I'm a $1 million agency, I want it to be mentored by a $10 million agency.
Okay.
But I thought to myself, that doesn't always mean because the person has a $10 million agency that they know what to tell you to do on a
Facts.
$1 million level. You get me saying? And I realized a coach, just because I'm a coach doesn't always like Phil Jackson coached Michael Jordan.
Mhm.
He could not do what Michael Jordan could do on the court, but he could coach him. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? He
Mhm.
knew how to tell him, "Hey, do this." Because I'm
And it
looking at,
was a rocky start when he went to over there to Kobe. It didn't go well in the very beginning.
but he was able still to coach Kobe, and he did get them to where they needed to be because he had the experience with a player of that caliber. He knew what it takes to coach that. So that's what I'm talking about. I can coach you. I may not be on your level, but in your mind, but I still can coach you. A lot of times coaches are not millionaires, but they're coaching millionaires. You see what I'm saying? Like
Oh, facts.
remember Brendan Burchard, he was a coach or mentor to Oprah. You're like, mentor to Oprah? What? Well, he was able to open her mind to some stuff
Mm-hmm.
because I can see the big picture. So that's why I say it's never failing. It's always the opportunity to find out what I need to do better to increase.
Sure.
And that vault sense matters because you're not wasting money. As we said, that clarity,
Now,
that
no one is saying not to pay the mortgage because you're looking for some clarity. However, comma, if you know it's so vivid and you really think that it's time to gamble on that and the time is hard and you need it and you got to get after it, there are times, there are extreme times where that could be a deal.
and
But
it's a gamble. Now, I will use the word gamble.
sure,
Sometimes you have to take a risk. I'll use risk, and you sometimes have to make a gamble. I went out and tried some things in the business to kind of give us a boost, and it did give us a boost. But in the end, it was not the right move. It was not the right people on the bus, and so we had to quickly part ways. And so it's slow to hire, quick to fire.
sure. But that's
You know,
bought sense again through experience. Like, let's go ahead and put it out here because something got to work.
Well, and I have found like a lot of people like, oh my goodness, you don't waste any time because I know the signs of somebody who ain't working, fitting the culture. And it's no reflection on anybody. It really is. I know the signs now that when I ask you questions or say certain things and you do these kind of things, one, two, three, four, I know what that's gonna lead to.
Sure.
I've seen it. I was looking back over, I think I've hired at least 25, 30 people, maybe even more that have come through the agency in the 8 years, probably more like 50. And you're like, and we're small. Like I have more
It's the
people.
churn is real, but again, as the person who has to run the agency and have a culture fit and have a fit and be aligned with your team, when you realize that you're out of alignment, again, it's time to take those measures.
You have to learn, and the model has come real different. Like I know I have one person that's been with me since the beginning, and we have tried them in all kind of iterations of working at the agency. And this last one is part-time, half a day, coming in late in the afternoon, close. And that works. That seemed like I'm comfortable with it. They're it seems like it's working right now. And we hope that it'll continue. But just looking at what resource you have and what's the best way to use that resource. Because and thinking, I hate the term outside of the box, but just thinking
Why do you hate that term?
because it just seems so cliche. Well, thinking out where everybody's thinking outside of the box. Sometimes you just thinking inside the box and just
And so
moving.
radical behaviors are where visionaries live. They live in the radical.
But that's what I'm saying. Sometimes being a visionary doesn't always mean you're thinking outside of the box. Sometimes you're just rearranging things inside of the box. I mean, because everybody thinks, oh, I that person thinks outside of you. Like that ain't nothing new. That we did that or we tried that. That's
I tell my students, there are no new ideas. There are just improvements on ideas that already exist.
exactly. Is to think about it. The car, Tesla got electric car, but get what? The car was around what back in the day. You
Right,
see what I'm saying?
right, right. A
It had
different
four
mode of
wheels.
transportation.
It had four wheels. You see what I'm saying?
It's an
So
improvement. I mean, in the beginning, it was an improvement on transportation
it
and
is an
movement, and
improvement.
now it's an improvement on the use of resources. And I'm imagining in the future it'll be it will be you see those cars that are riding around in Atlanta that have no drivers in them, taking people from here to there. People hate them in the neighborhood.
It's still a car, but I mean, we were out in Phoenix and they had one of those cars, and it's freaky. It is freaky. You sitting back there in the car driving, you like this don't seem right. This seems
But again, it's someone who has seen the future and has decided they're going to take a bet and gamble on that idea, and it could work. People miss Elon Musk, Tesla was existing before Elon Musk. He just came in and made it what he calls sexy, right? Right.
Right. Right.
So,
No, let me tell you, it's also like a mindset shift. It's not
sure.
a loss. Get this term. It's the tuition you paid for your business education.
You know,
you know, you got your MD from
I'm going to use that too. So, I pitch on Friday. I'm going to use it. It is the tuition that you paid for your business education. And why would you not invest in your own tuition and education? Man, baby, you just gave me my pitch statement. I love it. Here's the deal. Ultimately, I've told people this more than not. And when we have this conversation about on CEO Chronicles, really what we're talking about is the idea that we are running businesses that require a lot of tweaking depending on the way the market is, our customers showing up. It depends on how we show up. It depends on our health. It depends on all the things. And if we are not watching, we may not have a business anymore. And because we want to have it.
You have to become obsessed with your business.
Mhm.
I think about this business all the
Sure.
time.
And it
If
is
I'm
not a
somewhere
baby.
quiet, if I'm somewhere quiet, my mind is thinking about this business, what
Yeah.
to do. Now, granted, I'm an empty nester, so I really don't have a whole lot of other stuff to think
I was
about.
not an empty nester when I started my baby with my babies. My babies were here. A business is not a baby. It is not a child. It does not have any
In
emotion.
your opinion,
It a
it's
business.
my baby. It is
It's
my baby.
it should not be a baby. It should be an investment. And to your point, obsessive is really the word because I remember we talked about this. When you are an entrepreneur, you may not know where your next $5,000 is going to come from. You don't
Well,
know
you know
when
what?
you're going to get it
We're
again.
we're gonna have Josh drop that video in, and we're gonna put that video in right here where that young man is talking about when you're an entrepreneur and your money and all of that. And that is remember
It's
that
not
video?
safe. He just was he what he said was so real to me is that, when you waiting on that check, you're broke until you get that next paycheck. You can show up and get that but when you are an entrepreneur and you don't know where in the what you're gonna get. I am in the situation right now in this moment. Guess what I'm doing? I'm ideating, I'm failing fast, I'm putting ideas out there to see which one will stick. Just like you just gave me right there. Tuition, this is the tuition you are paying for
Your
the
business education.
there you have it. I love it. I
And
love it.
hey, baby, your business education. I'm need to get that tuition, okay?
Good topic.
The video we were talking about is the young man is talking about when you're an entrepreneur, your money it's not like a 9 to 5. When you broke in a 9 to 5, you waiting on your next check. Now you might be negative, but once your check hits, you good for 2 days, and then you waiting on the next check and so forth. When you're an entrepreneur, you've broken away. You don't know where the time is coming. You
Yeah,
don't know where the money's coming. You don't know, and you're just like, oh heck, what am I going to do? That is crucial. So that's why bought sense is the best sense
it is.
because you got to be able to fail fast, as Caramels likes to say. I don't like that. But free advice is good, but bought sense is the lesson that you pay for. And once you pay for it, it sticks forever.
Facts.
You ain't got to learn that twice.
Facts. Facts.
Best friend, I love it. I enjoyed the show today. You are super. Did you know you're super cool?
Obviously not when I don't know what ops mean.
Go ask the boy about it. Go ask them boys about it. They'll tell you, Mom, the ops. No, she's not the
Love
ops.
you, best friend.
Love you too.